Good morning, students. In the last class, we have learnt about the mind map for this chapter. Today, let us start with the latitudes. What are latitudes? Latitudes are the imaginary lines that run from east to west. What are latitudes? Those are the imaginary lines which run from east to west. See, here you can see these are the lines which are running from east to west. So this is east and this is west. They are running from east to west. Latitudes are always parallel to each other. They are one above the other or one below the other. So these are parallel to each other. Always they are parallel to each other. All these whatever I have drawn are the lines here drawn are the latitudes. They are parallel to each other. Here you can see the length of the latitude. So suppose this is the latitude and length of this latitude is more than this is more than this latitude. Same way the length of this latitude is more than this latitude. So what it tells, when we move towards the poles, it may be the south pole or the north pole. When we move towards the poles, the length of latitudes will decrease. This is the north pole and this is the south pole. This is by the direction we can say this is the northern direction and this is south direction. Hence, and the poles here named with as north pole and south pole. As we move towards the poles, the length of latitudes starts decreasing. Maybe on the other side also. Here also you can see the length of latitude is decreasing. This is the reason why the latitudes are also called parallels of latitudes. They are also called parallels of latitude because all the latitudes are parallel to each other. Here you can see I have written the equator here. What is this equator is? It is the longest latitude. You can see here comparing to this latitude, this latitude, this latitude, you can see this one is the longest latitude. It is the longest latitude. The very significance of this equator is it divides the earth into two equal hemispheres. It divides the earth into two equal halves. That's two equal hemisphere. So this part is equal with this part. Hemisphere, it means it is one of the half of the earth. It is the half of the earth hemisphere. It is divided into two hemisphere. One is the southern hemisphere and the other is northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere comes below the equator and the northern hemisphere comes above the equator. That is near the north pole, and the southern hemisphere lies below the equator, that is near the south pole. Hence it is named as southern hemisphere. Then comes the equator is named as 0 degree. First let me tell you, here the latitudes are measured in the form of degrees. How they are measured? They are measured in the form of degrees. Suppose this is a latitude whose value is 23.5 degree south. Whenever we have to write the degree, we have to write the value for the latitude. Suppose that latitude comes below the equator or else in the southern hemisphere. That latitude is named as 23.5 degree south. It is named as south. And here it is named as degree south. Degree south. All those latitudes which come in the southern hemisphere are written with degree south. And the latitudes which come above the equator or else in the northern hemisphere, they are written as degree north. How they are written? Using degree N. Degree N. Suppose if this is 66.5 degree north, how it is being written? With using degree N for latitudes which come in the northern hemisphere. Here you can see the north pole and south pole. Always the north pole is indicated as 90 degree N. 90 degree N. Whereas south pole is indicated as 90 degree S. The degrees of latitude here end up with 90 degree, like this 23, 30, 40, like this it will end at 90 degree north, and here below the equator it will end at 90 degree south. There are 90 latitudes. There are totally 90 latitudes below the equator and 90 latitudes above the equator. So totally the latitudes are 181. How many? There are 181 latitudes. Here actually there are 180 latitudes which make 90 below the south and 90 below the equator, 90 above the equator, which will make 180 latitudes plus the equator, and hence totally it will make of 181 latitudes. So this was all about today's class. In tomorrow's class, let us learn about the important latitudes. What are the important latitudes? I have told you there are about 181 latitudes, but we'll be learning only the important latitudes in this chapter. Thank you.